ask if anybody
Public
wants to come
comment.
up to public comments.
Nobody jumped up.
She wants to
Public
get on with
comment?
the meeting, let's get her done.
We got stuff to do. Okay. Anybody have comments other than what's on the agenda? I see some firemen over there. I know why you guys are here. Okay. No? Okay, now? All right, discussion, possible action, consent calendar. All matters listed under the consent calendar are considered routine and will be enacted by one motion unless any member of the council wishes to remove an item for discussion or a member of the audience wishes to comment on an item. The city manager recommends approval of the following consent calendar items. A, approval ratification of payments issued from February 22nd to March 7th, 2019. B is approval of minutes of the meeting held, thank you, Liz. Meeting held February 21st, 2019. And C, acceptance of treasurer's report and budget to actual for the month of January 2019. What are the wishes of the council?
I'll make the motion.
Okay, and what is your motion?
To accept the,
Consent.
to adopt the consent calendar as it is
Okay.
presented.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, thank you. We've got some things here to pass around. These all the same here, I think they are. Okay.
They're supposed to be.
Okay. So, item number 2, discussion possible action, adopt resolution to approve the sale of surplus property to the Grenada Volunteer Fire Department.
Mayor, members of the council, we have a surplus rescue vehicle that's been sitting out in the back 40 for a little while. And as you know, the Grenada Fire Department had a vehicle that was hit, I understood, by a semi, and is not in service at this time and will not be in the future.
Yeah, I'm glad nobody got hurt in that.
That's, I believe that's the case, although,
Yes,
Yeah,
it's
okay.
true. Oh, good.
no,
I'm glad
so.
everybody's okay.
So, anyway, we were contacted by the department, and they said they might be interested in the former rescue vehicle. You may recall in the past, most recently with the Scott Valley Fire Department, we sold them an engine at kind of the low end of the value range. We wanted to give them a deal on it. And kind of the premise for doing that is, number one, we get a little bit of money back on it if it's worth something. Number two, a lot of the departments in the county really can't afford new equipment. Now, in this case, I'm sure there'll be some insurance proceeds, but nonetheless. And number three, those other fire districts often are handling incidents that otherwise we might have to handle. Either, sometimes if they're fires, they won't come over the hill if there's more engines on, that sort of thing. So we put this on as a placeholder initially, and we have gotten back from the Grenada Fire Department, Fire District Board, an offer of $4,500. Now, we did have some higher numbers in the staff report in terms of the wholesale value, but what we do with our equipment is we auction it, and it's sort of a, I'm trying to think of the nice word, a roll of the dice, we'll just say that. A roll of the dice in terms of what we actually get net of the auction proceeds. I talked to Tim, our fleet manager, this afternoon, in fact, not too long ago, and said, is this in the range? And this is at the low end of the
There
range.
he is.
I better quote him accurately now. This is at the low end of the range, and kind of reflects also that this vehicle needs new tires and maybe a few other tweaks in terms of repairs and so on. So it's within the realm. I would like to give the opportunity for the representatives of the district, if they'd like to come up and talk a little bit. They probably aren't expecting to, and I didn't recognize them because they don't look like they're emailed. So,
John Tolman, would one of
either
you
of you
like to come
step
down?
and-
Would you like to say a few words? Thank you for coming.
This is Alan Soleil, Fire Chief for Grenada.
Hey, Alan.
And Captain Billingsley, correct?
Firefighter. Billingsley, and Billingsley is also one of our board members of the department.
Great.
That's the thing, the chief of the Grenada Department, I've been there chief has about a year now. And the month of February is my anniversary month, which wasn't a great ending to the month, as you can tell, with our rescue.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we're all volunteer department, all of our work is done, all volunteer, with everybody on the department. We do have a limited budget that we do have, but time you pay for the insurance and the fuel for everything, and to keep up the power and everything for the station, it pretty much takes out the budget.
Right, and you're all volunteer, right?
Yeah,
Okay, well, we have your email that, from, between you and Steve, stating that you're making an offer of $4,500
yeah.
for our used vehicle. And are there any questions from the council members? I personally would just like to say thank you. First of all, I'd like to say how sorry I was to see in the news what happened. That was a real freak accident.
Yeah,
I think
it
that
was.
happened. It was real icy that morning. And
Yeah, it was real icy. I was on scene at the time, and we were attending the vehicle that rolled over. That's why we were initially out there for the dispatch. And we were down by it when our rescue got hit, and I was down at the bottom of the embankment. And had the unfortunate part to stand there and watch it roll down the hill.
Oh, wow.
duck and roll, huh?
Yeah, and like I said, luckily, by chance, there wasn't anybody at the squad,
Yeah.
so we didn't have any injuries.
That's a
'Cause it
miracle.
could have
Yes.
been a real
Yes,
major.
could have been bad,
Yeah.
really bad.
Very much so. Things would have been a little different. It would have been much worse.
Yeah.
Well, it's hard enough to lose a vehicle, but we don't wanna lose any people.
No.
And we do appreciate everything you do to help back up, you know, our fire
Yeah, we
department as well.
do come into Yreka at different times. I know Grenada's been in on some fires before in the city of Yreka, so we do spawn into here too, so.
Oh, yeah.
Great, wonderful. Comments, yes?
No, no comments.
Motion?
I'll make a motion that we adopt a resolution to approve the sale of the surplus property of the Grenada Volunteer Fire Department at the prices
I'll second it.
the offer
Okay.
was made at.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the sale at $4,500. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It
Thank you.
passes, so congratulations.
Thank you.
Pleasure doing business with you folks, and all the best to you, and just, you know, avoid any
Yeah,
flying
once
trucks.
and what I'll do for the council, once we get it all set up to our deal, I'll send a picture to the council so you can.
I would love to see it.
That would be
That'd be
great.
great.
Love to see it.
We would love to.
Great.
Greatly appreciated.
Great, thank
Thank
you,
you.
and thank
Thank
you
you,
for all.
Thanks again.
Thank you for all
Thank
you
you.
do.
Congratulations, guys. Thank you.
Okay, that was the fun one. Okay. Item number 3, discussion and possible action, approve a $20,000 supplemental appropriation to the Parks and Recreation budget for state-required Greenhorn Dam Emergency Action Plan update. I see Matt. Is this one of those unfunded mandates?
I would
Not
not
the
go
state.
take it that far,
No?
Madam Mayor, members of council. This has been on Public Works radar for a year or so. The city engineers have been working toward the update of the EAP for us, and the inundation map portion of that is beyond the scope of our city engineers. They don't have specific dam engineers within PACE. And so I got a call last week before, and they wanted permissions to punt it off to a consultant through PACE. So there's a couple different ways to build it out, but in essence, it's a not to exceed 20,000. I think will be 11.5, I'm sorry, and then the 5,000 for the engineer time of PACE. So we're looking at a not to exceed of 20. I don't think we'll get up there. Again, it is a hit to the parks. It's a late hit to the parks, and we're not in a good spot with the parks budget right now. So it's not that it was an unfunded mandate, but it is a state requirement. We have to update the inundation mapping every 10 years. And if you don't understand what that is, I should explain that, and for all of you too. So there are a number of businesses and properties below the flood zone of Greenhorn Dam. So we monitor it yearly. The state dam inspector comes up, and Ben or myself walks it with him, and he notes any deficiencies in it. They get really worried when they see blackberries growing at the base of the dam, so we have to explain that away every year and tell them that the water's coming from somewhere else, not a seep through the earthen dam. So in the case that Greenhorn Dam is breached for any natural disaster, we get something that just blows it out of the way. We keep lists and update those lists of everyone that's in that flood zone below. So there's, in concert with the police department, there's a mass notification that goes out when we first find some kind of failure with the dam. Kind of rough that over about every 2 years. I know Steve and I have personally walked the dam
Yes.
area before because somebody saw water coming out of the ground below, somewhere below the dam, which was unrelated to the dam. It's just this type of weather creates the water table to come up there. There's actually an ancient riverbed, creek bed, on the opposite side of that valley where the creek lays now. So that just fills back up with water occasionally. So anyways, we walked it and the police come out there and everybody runs around and we open up our books with OES and this is part of that EAP. So it's somewhat of a late hit. I did not expect Pace to not be able to handle this one, but so that let me know.
Okay, thank you. Any questions?
No, not really.
It's not like we have a lot of
No,
choice.
not much choice in the matter. I'll make a motion then that we approve the 20,000 supplemental appropriation to the Parks and the Recreation budget for the state-required Greenhorn Dams Emergency Action Plan update.
Have a second?
I'll
Second.
second. Norm.
Okay. Okay, so we have a motion and a second to approve up to,
Up
right?
to.
$20,000 supplement. Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, motion carries. Thank you, Matt. Okay, city managers, staff reports.
In the interest of time, Mayor, I'm going to pass. I didn't have much to say anyway. Now I just have less.
That's a first. Okay, I see we have staff in the audience. Lieutenant Betts, did you have a staff report? Yeah. Okay. You do, come on down.
Yeah.
Madam Mayor, members of council, Matt Bray, Director of Public Works. I was approached by a property owner on Minor Street this week, and they had a question regarding the downtown lighting project, in which I don't remember what year that was. Councilman.
2012 or 13, I think, we did that.
And so at that time, and I wasn't part of that, I was still back in maintenance, and I don't know how I missed it, but at that time, the city, from what I see, got permissions from a number of buildings, possibly up to 3, possibly 4, to install additional power meters through Pacific Power on the backs of those and run circuits up to power LED lighting
Correct,
for the tops of the facades of Minor.
correct.
So this new business owner coming into a vacant building on Minor has asked if that is still a project of the council, or if he could ask that the city relinquish that power meter and power account to the business. So, not that you can make decisions on it tonight, but I wanted to raise that now because I just heard about it, and I know it's been a long-going project. My understanding of it is there wasn't 100% buy-in of the owners at the time of the buildings, and that there was a difficulty in the actual drilling into the unreinforced brick masonry of those buildings that some owners were not pleased with. And I mean, we still have cases of epoxy down at the service center for that project. Probably shelf life is dead, but it's down. So I just wanted to bring it up, something to chew on, maybe something to throw on another agenda and bring it back up, or decide it's time to walk away from it, now that we have this. I did check with billing with Lysandra at the front desk, and she said that we've had that for X number of years, and it has 0 consumption on the meter, so we've never flipped the breaker on. We just paid to have it installed with, I don't know if it was city funding or not, so. I just wanted to bring it up. We could talk about it a different time, another time.
Question.
Put it on the agenda maybe.
Certainly.
Yeah.
Okay, Norm?
I'd like to see it come back on the agenda item, and it seems like if the building owners wanna connect up and run the power and get billed for it, it seems like that's a good idea. Like, maybe you can't get 100%, but you might have certain building owners that wanna do that.
We'll put it on the agenda at a future date. There's a lot more to it than that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so that can come back. Thank you, Matt. Okay. No more, I don't see any more department heads unless Fire Chief Jerry wants to talk to us. Later, right?
Yeah. we can talk
Workshop.
about it. I'm
Okay.
kind of narrow-minded tonight, so apologies for that.
Okay, Debbie.
not much to report. The C2C meeting was canceled due to the weather because it was scheduled for Dunsmuir and it was one of the ugly nights, so nothing else.
Okay, thank you. Paul?
Pool maintenance committee meeting on Monday night, I'm still waiting, I haven't looked to see, where it's going to be, but
It's
Robin,
at Community Center.
it is?
Is this the one on the 11th?
This is just a committee meeting,
Right.
Oh,
it's not a
community
full-on
meeting.
meeting,
Oh,
so
okay.
we're kind of meeting.
There is one on the 11th, I can't remember, I believe it's that one, and
Okay,
it'll be
yeah.
at,
With Robin, yeah,
it'll be here,
yeah.
so.
Okay, fine.
The fire safe council meeting was also canceled because of the weather, but I have an issue, and it's been brought up, with fake service dogs. And I've seen that in various stores where people have just put a vest on the dog that says it's a service dog, and it's not a well-trained dog. It's definitely a, normal pet, something like that. And it seems like there should be some way to deal with it. Do we have city ordinances on that, or if it's just state law that they have to follow the service dogs?
I did look into that, and it's a legal issue. And we don't, to my knowledge, have an ordinance.
We
but
have
there
a
are-
legal representative.
But there are state laws
Right.
that are very specific.
That you
What you
cannot ask
can do
them.
and what you cannot do, and there's more cannots than
They're
cans.
federal laws because of the ADA.
Don, can Don add anything?
Well, he hasn't had time to do any research.
He doesn't even know it happened. so.
No.
I actually do know the answer to it,
Oh, good.
Okay,
but I'd rather give it to you in a memo.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay.
Oh, good.
yeah, if you could get back to us.
Yes.
that'd be
Yeah.
good.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's something I've seen personally, so,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, Dwayne?
Well, don't have much to throw out there. I just want to make a comment and then, or a question and turns to a comment. How many on city council have grandkids?
I have two.
And are they your prized possession? I mean, they're your,
They're not my possessions.
but
I do adore them.
they're your pride and joy, put it
They
that
are.
way.
Yes,
They
pride
are.
and joy.
Very much so. If you knew that you were taking your grandkids to a park that had a convicted murderer staying there during the day, would you take your grandkids to them?
No.
Right now, we have a convicted murderer that's hanging out at our park all day long because of the homeless shelter. He stays at the homeless shelter at nights, and then he hangs out at our park all day long.
But you say convicted, this person has served their time, correct?
He has served his
Yeah,
time,
so
he has
they're-
served his time, correct. Correct.
So they have a legal right to be there. I'm
Oh, yeah.
not
Yes.
ultra conservative, but they have a legal right to be there. You're gonna
Correct.
step on their,
But what I'm getting to my point is, that we don't know who's coming and going through the homeless shelter at this point in time. There could be pedophiles, there could be anybody going through there that are hanging out at our parks. This is something that we need to address in the future very soon, because this is not something that I feel comfortable knowing that there's people that are hanging around our parks that could be potential predators to our kids or grandkids or people in general. So this is something as a council that we need to address this situation and bring it forth, and it's a zoning issue that needs to be addressed. And this is something that we need to do immediately, because I feel I can't myself knowing and sleeping at night, knowing that maybe there might be somebody that can get hurt at our park, and we knew something about it, and we could do something about that. So I think as a city council, we need to be addressing this issue.
we do have to remember that, I'll speak only as a retired educator. As a retired educator, sex offenders and violent felons, the state already governs where they can and can't be, what they can and can't do. So we have to be very, very careful from a legal standpoint not to step on people's rights.
Very much so.
And that would be
Very much
something,
so.
yeah.
Just like you said, they cannot be near schools.
Within so many feet of a school,
Exactly.
unless, and there are exceptions, because
Oh, yeah.
we had one living right over here for 15 years when I worked at Jackson Street. Three houses down from the school, so I think we need to be aware of it, but we also have to be careful not to. We can get ourselves in some real legal trouble.
Oh, yeah.
Real legal hot water if we start.
Most definitely, but like I said, it's our duty too, and our responsibility to make sure our citizens are safe in Yreka too, so that's huge.
So, ask our city manager, shall we refer this to staff and then come back with a report, talk to our attorney? What's our, what's?
We could do that, yeah.
Okay, we'll refer it to staff then and have them come back.
I'd like to set up a private meeting too with you, me, and, chief,
Lieutenant
well,
Benson.
whoever is involved at that point in time.
Mhm.
And, our code enforcement too, that we need to set up a meeting and discuss this further.
Okay, all right, thank you. Tim, would you please stand up? So I want you all to take a good look at our honored firefighter. So Tim, Tim Pope.
He'll be here
Tim-
later,
Is
yeah.
Tim here? Oh, he'll be here later. Anyway, we are so very fortunate to have two firefighters, not one, but two. And Chief Jerry Lemus, I think, had a little bit something to do with that. But at the Siskiyou County Firefighter of the Year, congratulations
Thank you.
Yes.
on your award that you got. And I was there and very proud of you guys. You did a great job.
Thank you.
Would you
Yes.
like to say something, Chief?
Thank you for bringing that up. That would've been a great thing for the chief to bring up in his staff report, right? But you were there, so.
I was-
No, I can't say enough good things about Tim Pope and Tim Shaw. They're,
The Tims.
yeah, the Tims, yeah. So, they're the kind of guys that if you had 2 or 3 more of them, you'd be set, right? But Tim Shaw, fleet manager, he's like my right-hand man when he keeps me straight on those aspects. Hey, we need to get this done, we need to consider this. And even things, when he goes on calls, he's the first one to call me and say, you might want to think of this. Tim Pope will be here later. I mean, I told him, well, it's probably better you show up a little later because it's gonna be just a regular meeting, but they all have stuff going on. Same way, and yet he runs tremendous amount of calls. He came back after many years of not being in the
remember.
department. He took a layoff and knew we needed help, so he came back and
Awesome.
it's been a huge help. So, and they're just huge assets for the department. So I can't say enough good, but they're well deserving.
Well, I just wanted to know that I'm speaking for myself, but I think all of us, we're very, very proud of our entire fire department.
And I could have
especially
probably
those.
named 3 or 4 more. They're just, and a lot of those will be here tonight. So
Great,
anytime you can pat them on the back, it's appreciated.
wonderful. Well, that was my report, yes. I was just proud to be there, and boy, was I surprised. Every other city got 1. We got 2.
Well, they said you can have 2 because I said, we have a larger department and we have, staff that are, members that are deserving. Is there any chance? And they said, absolutely. So
Great,
took advantage of that one.
wonderful, good job.
I'm gonna change my name to Tim.
We'll call you, Tim Rob.
Will you be tiny, Tim?
Oh.
Stay tuned.
I'm 6'1",
Stay
tiny
tuned.
Jim.
Stay
Yeah.
tuned. Boom, 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 yes.
Hey, I'm Henny
Okay,
Youngman.
that's my report, and, there's lots of other stuff going on. My local transportation commission meeting was also canceled due to ice and snow and weather, so I think that our next agenda item guy just walked in. So, I think that we're at the end of our, unless, anyone else has a report, no, I think that we're at the end of our, open session. We do have, a closed session item that we have to deal with tonight. Actually, we have 3 of them. So I think now that we will adjourn our meeting and go into closed session.